In this video, you'll discover how the devil tricked a man into wagering his own son's soul in a dark game. Find out the common thought that led a simple farmer to draw the king of hell to his doorstep. A thought you've likely had yourself. Get ready for a chilling tale of a bet involving wealth, souls, and a family on the brink of destruction. Follow along to see the brilliant idea the wife came up with to try and win the bet, and the painful consequence that followed. I'm the storyteller, and I'm here to show you just how terrifying our world can be when the lights go out. I present to you The Bet with the Devil. Your home was destroyed, and now your life is in ruins. Mr. Agenor watched in despair as the waters swallowed his farm. A massive dam had burst, unleashing a flood that ravaged the land, killed livestock, and tore apart his home. By some miracle, he and his wife survived. But slow and ineffective justice failed to punish the true culprits, leaving Agenor with no choice but to seek a bank loan. He begged, humbled himself, and was treated like dirt. He had no guarantees, nothing that could assure the bank he'd be able to repay the loan. Heartbroken, Agenor decided to walk home, back to the land he loved and to his beloved wife. Terrified he might lose her during these dark times, she was everything to him, so perfect, so loving. She filled his days with warmth and affection. Even with their ruined land, she tried to cheer him up, promising that when he returned, she would have good news, something that would make him jump with joy and bring hope back to their lives. She was the light of his world, and now he had to return just to tell her he had failed. The feeling of helplessness weighed him down. How could he face the woman he adored, only to tell her she'd continue to starve? He wanted everything good for his beautiful Estella. He wanted her to be happy, carefree, surrounded by the beauty of a thriving farm. Failure, that's what he felt like. He would do anything to bring his beloved peace and happiness. Anything. He was tall, dressed in fine clothes, exuding an aura of immense wealth and power. His gloved hands added a touch of elegance, and in one, he held a cane of such exquisite craftsmanship that even those unfamiliar with woodworking could see its beauty. A wide-brimmed hat shaded his eyes, making him all the more mysterious and unnerving. Agenor muttered an apology, but an intense chill crept up his spine, making him shudder.
Don't worry, old friend. I actually wanted you to run into me.
Confused, the farmer asked why the man would want to cross paths with him. Agenor heard the man laugh.
Listen carefully. What seems like a huge feast to you is just crumbs to me. What is wealth to you is mere pennies to me. So yes, it is I, the man whose world resides within me, possess riches and assets beyond your imagination. To fix your farm, I only need to lift a finger and allocate what is mere change from my power. I can renovate your farm, your house, your barn, and turn it into a geographic powerhouse, where fruit trees and seeds will sprout abundantly from the ground.
Hope surged in Agenor's chest, his heart pounding with excitement. Tears of joy welled up in his eyes, and a smile he couldn't hide spread across his face. The farmer thanked the man, promising that he would repay every cent as soon as he had the money. He swore to work tirelessly, day after day, hour after hour, until the farm produced enough to make the investment worthwhile. But the man only laughed again, a deep, unsettling sound, and then he revealed the true reason he was there.
I don't want you to pay me. It'll be free for you. The only thing I want, my friend, is for you to join me in a wager. Look, I'm going to propose a challenge to you. My team of builders and I will renovate and finish everything on your farm in just 24 hours. We'll start only when the roosters crow and stop when they crow again the next day. If by the second crowing we're not done, we'll finish the work and you'll get it for free. But if the roosters crow the next day and we've finished everything, you'll give me the most valuable thing you have in your house, which you don't know exists yet. What do you say, Saginaw? Would you like to take this bet?
Agenor thought carefully. What could he possibly have in his house that was valuable and he didn't even know about? Did his land have oil or some hidden treasure beneath the soil he had never discovered? Of course it did. No one is that generous without having some hidden interest. But even if there was something of value in his land, he would never have the resources to explore it. A restored farm was better than having nothing. Besides, what kind of people could finish renovating an entire farm in just one day? Agenor accepted the deal, and the man didn't even ask for his farm's address. He simply said he knew exactly where it was, and that his men would arrive soon. Agenor hurried home, desperate to share the good news with his wife, blissfully unaware that soon his home would be overrun by the most wicked beings on earth, and that the game from hell is about to begin. Estella was excited to see her husband so joyful and hopeful, but as soon as he told the story, her face darkened and her smile vanished. A shadow fell over her expression, a look of death, mourning, and disaster. Agenor turned pale, confused, desperate to understand why. "The world lies within me," she repeated, a tremor in her voice, and told him that the stranger had made her husband wager the most valuable thing in their home, something he didn't even know existed. Agenor, terrified, asked if she knew what it was. His heart stopped, a sharp, painful jolt, as if it ceased beating for a few agonizing microseconds. It happened the moment Estella placed her hand on her belly, touching the tiny life growing inside. The surprise! The news that would have made Agenor leap with joy, fulfilling his dream of a large family with children playing on the farm, now filled him with dread. It struck his soul, crushing him with the weight of guilt. His child. That's what the man wanted. His child. Agenor was about to question it, clinging to the hope that they misunderstood, that maybe the man was only after material wealth. But suddenly, the rumbling of trucks interrupted his thoughts. They were coming onto the property, stopping near the house. The driver stepped out, their eyes entirely black, veins bulging with wicked, twisted grins. A heavy stench of sulfur filled the air as they marched to the front of the house, staring unblinking at the window. From inside the house, stepping out of the bedroom as if he had always been there, was the stranger. Agenor froze and Estella began to weep, nausea overwhelming her as if the very soul growing inside her sensed the terrible challenge ahead. The man tilted his head, revealing, beneath his hat, eyes burning a vivid, hellish red. The air in the house filled with the echo of cracking whips and the agonizing screams of burning souls. He walked to the doorway, extending his arms and announcing,
"Men, give your best. Because remember, our reward in 9 months will be an innocent soul burning in hell."
Estella let out a scream, covering her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Agenor wanted to charge at them, fight them, but his body refused to move, as if it were made of stone. The man walked out into the yard, and not long after, the rooster crowed, marking the end of the night and the start of a new day. The men began to work with a speed and strength that defied reality, raising the barn in record time, expanding the chicken coop, and even bringing in new roosters and hens. The fields were tilled, and seeds were already sprouting, an impossibility in the natural world. The sounds of construction were drowned out only by the growls and howls of the demonic workers. Finally, it was time to start the house. Simple, small, and easily renovated. The clock struck 5. There was still an hour left, and at the pace they were going, they would surely finish in time. Estella sobbed uncontrollably, knowing she was going to lose her daughter, while Agenor roared with the weight of guilt, falling to his knees in front of his wife, begging for forgiveness. Estella held him tightly, knowing it wasn't his fault. The true coward was the demon who had taken advantage of Agenor's ignorance of the pregnancy to steal their greatest treasure. No, Agenor screamed. He wouldn't let his child fall into such a curse without a fight. He would give his life if necessary to protect his little one. Rising to his feet, he grabbed his shotgun from the top of the wardrobe. Estella pleaded, saying he would die. They were supernatural beings, impossible to defeat. But Agenor was determined to do something. Suddenly, Estella felt a jolt in her mind as if a light had touched her. A wave of warm, comforting energy coursed through her, starting from her back and spreading throughout her body. She looked at her husband, a newfound resolve in her eyes. Estella knew exactly what to do. She had an idea. The most chilling horror stories filled with spiritual revelations, ravenous monsters, and sagas with episodes and seasons. Here, you'll learn how a real possession happens. See how a succubus can drain your energy through pleasure. Hear tales of serial killers, creatures you've never seen before, and so much more. Welcome to the House of Horror channel, where we'll be sharing the darkest fictional stories with a thread of truth behind them. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell, because many more videos like this are coming soon. Let me bring some adventure into your life. The roosters, she whispered. The demon had not said they had to finish before dawn, but rather when the roosters crowed the next day. Agenor understood her plan. Estella grabbed a lantern from the drawer, slipping out the window, ready to circle the house and make her way to the chicken coop. The demons were working furiously until gunshots suddenly rang out. They rushed inside the house, while Estella bolted into the night. She ran past the barn nearly at the coop when a demon spotted her and began chasing on all fours like a beast. Estella screamed. Meanwhile, inside, Agenor fired at the demons, who snarled and crawled up the walls and ceiling, attacking from all directions. One grabbed his arm and hurled him against the wall, fracturing his ribs. His shotgun skidded out of reach, and Agenor saw the men closing in, ready to play with their prey. Then he heard Estella's scream, followed by the demon's howl. The possessed workers realized she was outside, grasping her plan. They sprinted toward the yard, but at that moment, the door slammed shut and the windows locked without anyone touching them. The demons threw themselves against the door and windows, but they didn't even crack. Furious, they turned back to Agenor, who slowly stood, knowing they would now vent all their rage upon him. Outside, the demon lunged like a hunting dog and grabbed Estella's leg. just 2 steps from the coop entrance. He climbed on top of her, biting her ear until he tore pieces off. Estella struck him with the lantern, smashing it against his head while he gnawed at her, but the creature refused to let go. Agenor's desperate cries, giving her the strength to land a powerful blow, shattering the creature's jaw and face. The demon screeched, releasing her. Estella scrambled into the coop, but as she opened the door, the relentless demon grabbed her legs, dragging her down, and the lantern tumbled from her grasp. Kicking him desperately, she noticed the coop, already dark, becoming even denser and the air growing thin. A shadow rose from the ground, taking shape before her eyes. It was him. Estella summoned strength she didn't know she had, crawling forward to grab the lantern. She switched it on, pointing the light at the roosters, waking them from their slumber. Estella mustered every ounce of willpower, mimicking a rooster's crow as loud as she could. With the burst of light in her cry, the roosters interpreted it as dawn, joining in the chorus. Their call spread through the coop, rousing others until the place echoed with the sounds of morning. As the demonic form solidified, the supreme demon, the king of hell, roared with fury. He grabbed Estella by the hair and struck her stomach with such force that she passed out. Hours later, she awoke to a sticky sensation. Blood stained her thighs. She screamed in agony, knowing what had happened. Staggering, she made her way to the house where police cars were arriving, joined by an ambulance. Estella ran despite the pain in her legs until she saw Agenor, battered and bloody, being carried out on a stretcher. No, she couldn't lose 2 loved ones in a single day. Estella screamed for her husband, catching everyone's attention, and to her relief, Agenor's eyes flickered open. He rasped her name and she rushed to his side, weeping uncontrollably. Agenor held her tightly, apologizing, saying that the doctor assured him their child's soul would not go to hell because the rooster crowed before the renovation was complete. One of the paramedics explained that Agenor was seriously injured and his blood loss had likely caused him to hallucinate, mentioning a doctor who hadn't even arrived yet. In the hospital later, they embraced and grieved the loss of their child together. Agenor promised Estella that one day joy would return to her, no matter how long it took. Estella held him close, comforting him, saying they would be the patriarchs of a big, happy family. The local newspaper reported an anonymous tip about gunshots and eerie screams from the farm. It puzzled the police. No one should have been able to hear anything from that distance, and the nearest phone was at a payphone miles away at the town's edge. When the authorities arrived, they found signs of a violent struggle, with footprints on the roof and walls. When the couple returned to their home, they found the farm in perfect condition, except for one thing. A single tile was missing from the roof, leaving a small hole in the wall. The devil is a cunning creature, and although the family won the wager, the scars left behind are permanent for the grieving parents. This isn't the only way dark forces can ruin your life, and I know a real way they can that you need to see before it's too late. You'll witness how a real possession takes place in our world. There are 3 stages that occur before an entity fully takes control of your body, and believe me, they're constantly trying to invade your mind. Click now to learn how to protect yourself before it's too late. That's all for now. See you next time.